A couple weeks ago, I was grabbing coffee with a friend of mine, and mid-conversation, he just drops his phone on the table and sighs. I asked him what's up, and he said, "Man, I don't get it. A week ago, she was all in, calling me every night, laughing at everything I said, sending me those long messages just to say she missed me. Now, she's cold, distant. It's like someone flipped a switch." I could see it in his face. Confusion, frustration, that quiet fear most guys won't say out loud. He started overthinking every move he made. Did I say too much? Was I too vulnerable? Should I text her again? Should I wait? What if she's losing interest? He was caught in that mental loop, trying to decode silence like it was a language he never learned. So I told him, "Look, man, I know it feels like she's slipping through your fingers, but that silence doesn't always mean goodbye. Sometimes it means she's feeling something so deep, she needs space to make sense of it. Women don't always process through talking. They feel, they sit with things. When she goes quiet, she's not vanishing. She's listening. Not to you, but to herself. And here's the thing, she's watching you, not with her eyes, but with her heart. She wants to see who you are when you're not being fed attention. Can you hold your center when her energy shifts? Or do you unravel?" I told him, "This moment, it's not about chasing her. It's about showing her that your peace isn't dependent on her presence, that you're grounded, steady, and whole, with or without her daily texts. Because how you hold yourself in the silence says way more than anything you could text her right now." Let's break this down. Point 1. She's not disappearing, she's reconnecting with herself. I know, right now it feels like she's slipping away, like one day she was leaning in and the next she vanished into this emotional fog. But what if I told you, she's not walking away, she's tuning in. See, when a woman starts to pull back, it's not always because she's done or uninterested. More often than not, something inside her has become loud, too loud to ignore, and she needs stillness to hear it clearly. Women don't always process their emotions by talking them out the way most guys do. They feel their way through. They go inward. They sit in silence to listen to the parts of themselves that don't speak in words. And here's where most men go wrong. They panic. They assume the worst. They start over-analyzing every little interaction, trying to fix what isn't broken, texting more, calling more, pushing for connection. But what they don't realize is, she's not waiting to be chased, she's waiting to feel. And the more pressure you apply, the more your energy becomes noise she's trying to escape. That silence, it's not a test, it's not punishment, it's a moment of truth. A moment of trust. She needs space, not because she's gone, but because she's navigating something real. So if she's gone quiet, let her be. Let her breathe. Not with resentment, not with ego, but with respect. Trust that she's doing what she needs to do for herself. And more importantly, trust that you are strong enough, grounded enough to not chase what isn't ready to come to you. That kind of stillness, that kind of presence, that's not weakness, that's power. The man who can hold space without grabbing for control, that's the man she remembers. That's the man she returns to. Not out of obligation, but out of admiration. Quick break. Close your eyes for a second. Picture her. The girl you've always wanted. Feel what it would be like to actually have her. Now open your eyes, because here's the truth. Right now, you're invisible to her. You're getting outcompeted by guys with more money, better looks, higher status, and stronger game. You're playing a rigged game, and you're losing. But I've spent the last 35 years mastering this, studying, testing, and finally finding the secrets to get the girls I always wanted. You want to stop getting ignored? You want her chasing you? Then you need to wake up and act. Click the link in the comments if you are truly committed and take the first step toward becoming that guy. Few spots left. Be fast or miss out your last chance to make her yours. Let's get back to it. Point 2. Your reaction in the silence reveals your emotional strength. This, right here, is where most men fall apart without even realizing it. See, when a woman starts to pull back, when her energy shifts, when her usual warmth suddenly goes quiet, that moment becomes a mirror. And how you respond. That reflects everything about where you're at as a man. Not just in the relationship, but within yourself. Most guys panic. They feel the space and immediately rush to fill it with texts, calls, questions, reassurances, anything to bring her back into orbit. But here's the truth. She's not watching you with judgment. She's watching with curiosity. She's not trying to punish you. She's trying to understand you. She's asking herself, maybe without even knowing it, can this man hold his center when I'm no longer feeding him constant attention? Can he stay solid when things aren't perfectly lit and effortless? Because that's where real emotional strength is tested, not when everything's flowing, but when the current slows down. If the moment she withdraws, you start chasing her harder, over-texting, begging for validation, what she feels isn't love, it's pressure. And pressure doesn't pull her closer, it pushes her away. It suffocates the very energy that once drew her to you. She doesn't want a man who falls apart the second she steps back. She wants to see if you can stay steady, stay whole, even when her presence isn't constant. But if, in that silence, you remain grounded, if you don't chase, don't crumble, don't spiral into anxiety or perform fake indifference, then she feels something powerful. She senses your depth, your maturity, your ability to hold space without needing control. It's not about pretending not to care. That's ego. It's about genuinely knowing that your peace, your sense of self, your emotional rhythm isn't dependent on someone else's validation. That's what makes a man unforgettable. That's what earns respect, not just affection. So remember this, how you carry yourself in her absence will tell her everything she needs to know about whether you're grounded, or just guessing at what strength looks like. Be the calm in the storm, not the storm that comes from her calm. Point 3, she needs to feel your energy, even when you're not there. Let me tell you something real, something most men overlook. Presence isn't about always being physically available. It's not about flooding her phone with messages or constantly checking in just to remind her you exist. True presence, the kind that lingers, that lasts, isn't measured in how often you show up, but in the impression you leave behind. See, women are emotional beings by nature. They're not just listening to your words, they're absorbing your energy. They remember how you made them feel, not necessarily what you said. And if you're the kind of man who only feels secure when you're texting her all day, calling her constantly, needing constant access to her attention, then you're not building presence, you're building dependence. And dependence doesn't leave a lasting impact. It fades as soon as the contact fades. But if your energy is calm, rooted, intentional, if you're grounded enough in who you are that your peace doesn't get shaken by temporary distance, then something beautiful happens. She feels you even in the silence. She thinks about you when you're not around. In the quiet moments of her day, your presence still lingers, not as noise, but as gravity. You don't have to force your way into her mind. You don't need to remind her of your worth every 5 minutes. When your presence carries real weight, your absence becomes magnetic. It draws her back, not through guilt or pressure, but through a deep emotional imprint that says, this man is different. He's not chasing, he's not begging, he's not fading, he's there, in the background, steady as ever, even when unseen. That's the difference between being missed and being forgotten. One is born from noise and neediness, the other is born from quiet strength. So ask yourself, are you trying to be remembered with constant motion, or are you grounded enough to be felt in the stillness? Point 4, your absence should feel like gravity, not emptiness. Let's keep it real, bro. If your absence feels like nothing, it's because your presence never carried weight in the first place. And that's the hard truth most men don't want to hear. But hear me out. When a woman pulls back, when she steps away to gather her thoughts, reflect, or breathe, it's not your cue to chase, to beg, or to bombard her with messages hoping to stay relevant. That moment, right there, is your chance to let her feel you without you doing anything at all. This is where the men who have substance shine, and where the ones who only knew how to chase begin to fade. Because when your presence is real, rooted in confidence, purpose, and quiet power, your absence has pull, the kind of pull that makes her pause and ask herself, why do I still feel him even when he's not here? Why does this silence make me miss him? That's the kind of impression most men never learn to leave. Too many guys fear being forgotten, so they try to fight silence with noise, text after text, call after call, emoji after emoji. But here's the truth, you don't get remembered by being constantly available. You get remembered by being unforgettable, and that comes from value, not volume. if you've built a life with passion, direction, and emotional steadiness, if you've got a vision that fuels you, peace that grounds you, and an energy that doesn't flinch under distance, then, even in your silence, she feels you. Not as pressure, not as guilt, but as presence. And that kind of presence is impossible to ignore. So when you're not around, don't rush to close the space. Let it breathe, let it stretch. Let her feel the difference between a man who constantly chases and a man who knows his worth. That gap, that's where your gravity lives. And if you've done the inner work, she won't just come back because she's lonely. She'll come back because she remembers how it felt to be near you, and she'll want that again. Not from a place of fear, but from a place of knowing. Point 5. She's subconsciously testing your stability. Here's something that catches most men completely off guard. Not all tests come in the form of words. In fact, the most important ones usually come in silence, in distance, in energetic shifts that most men misread. She's not pulling away because she's playing games. She's not orchestrating some manipulative plan to mess with your head. What's really happening is instinctual. She's feeling out your foundation. See, a woman needs to know that the man she's letting into her emotional space isn't just charming when things are easy, but stable when things get unclear. She wants to feel safe, not just physically, but emotionally. And that kind of safety can't be faked. So when she creates space, maybe by going quiet for a bit, becoming less responsive, or just pulling her energy inward, it's not a trap. It's a subconscious question, a whisper from her spirit asking, can this man stay centered even when I'm not right beside him pouring in constant affection? Can he hold his ground when I need time to gather mine? Now, this is the point where many men spiral. They panic. They start chasing harder, sending anxious texts, over-explaining, or worse, becoming resentful. But what they don't realize is that every move made from insecurity only confirms her fear, that your confidence is conditional, that your peace is reactive, that your strength only exists when she's feeding it. But if you stay grounded, if you breathe through the silence instead of trying to fill it, she feels something powerful. If your energy remains steady, not cold but calm, not distant but rooted, she starts to sense something rare. A man who doesn't lose himself just because she needs space to find herself. That's when trust begins to build in a way that can't be forced or rushed. She's not trying to hurt you. She's trying to feel safe in you. Safe to be human. Safe to have moods. Safe to ebb and flow without being punished for it. And the moment she realizes that her emotional waves don't shake your foundation, that her uncertainty doesn't collapse your presence, that's when you shift from just another guy to the man. The one who can hold space for her storm without getting pulled into it. The one who becomes her calm, not by controlling her, but by controlling himself. That kind of presence, that kind of consistency, it doesn't just attract her, it earns her respect. And once she feels that, she won't look at you the same again. Point 6. Mystery isn't a game, it's a necessity. Let's get something straight, bro. Mystery and authenticity aren't opposites. Too many men confuse being real with being predictable. They think honesty means spilling everything up front. Every thought, every fear, every plan, every past mistake, all laid bare on the table in the first few conversations. And sure, honesty is important. Vulnerability has power. But when you put it all out there too soon, you don't build trust. You burn through intrigue. You skip the slow unfolding that creates depth. See, mystery isn't about playing games. It's about showing that you have depth, that there's more to you than what's visible on the surface. A woman doesn't want to solve you like a math problem in the first week. She doesn't want to feel like she knows your every move before you even make it. What pulls her in is the sense that every time she leans closer, she's discovering something new, a layer she didn't expect, a mindset she hasn't heard before, a piece of you that reveals itself not because you threw it out there too fast, but because she earned the space to see it. When you have purpose, when you have passions, boundaries, visions, and a life that she hasn't fully explored yet, that's what's magnetic. That's the difference between a man who needs to be validated quickly and a man who already knows who he is. You don't need to be mysterious by being distant or emotionally unavailable, but you do need to carry yourself like someone who values being discovered over being understood instantly. So no, You don't need to act cold. You don't have to be emotionally locked down, but you also don't need to explain your whole soul on day one. Let her feel the layers in you. Let her sense that you have a world of your own. Let her get curious, not because you're hiding something, but because something real exists in that quiet confidence you carry. And when she realizes that you're not an open book waiting to be read, but a story worth unfolding slowly, that's not game playing. That's gravity. Because the men who are fully known too soon, they get appreciated, then often forgotten. But the man with quiet depth, with presence and patience, he doesn't just catch her attention, he keeps it. Point 7, don't match her distance, transcend it. Alright bro, let's talk about this one because it's critical. When she starts to pull away, your first instinct is probably to mirror her energy. Maybe you go cold, get quiet, or play the same game she seems to be playing. But here's the truth you need to hear. Matching her distance doesn't show strength. It shows ego. It's a reaction based on pride, not peace. Real strength, the kind that actually commands respect, is found in your response, not your reaction. You don't need to mirror her energy or close the gap by playing games. You rise above it. You don't chase, you don't beg, and you certainly don't go bitter. Instead, you stay grounded. You stay warm, not cold. You stay unshaken, even when she's distant. You hold your own energy, calm and steady, without trying to manipulate or force her into coming closer. This doesn't mean you're indifferent or emotionally detached. It means you're centered, you're self-assured, and you're comfortable with your own worth. You're sending the quiet, powerful message, I'm still here, still me, and I don't need to prove it. This is the kind of energy that draws people in, not because they feel pressured or obligated to respond, but because they feel a magnetic force that invites them to lean in, not out. When you stand in this place of unwavering confidence, she feels safe. Not safe to walk away, but safe to come back on her own, because she knows you won't crumble in her absence. She'll return because she wants to, not because she has to. And that's the most powerful attraction there is. Attraction born from trust, not fear. So when you hold your ground, when you don't react to her distance by pulling away or pushing harder, she will see that you're a man who doesn't just survive the distance, you transcend it. That's when she starts to trust you, respect you, and desire you, because a man who can stay centered no matter what she does is the man who becomes her anchor, her safe place, and ultimately the one she doesn't want to lose. If you found this insight valuable, make sure to subscribe to The Girl's Mind for more wisdom on mastering your life and attraction. Until next time, stay strong, stay centered, and always remember, the key to attraction isn't in chasing, it's in being. But for those of you who are serious about stepping up and taking control, I've created a one-on-one chat with me. Choose your package and let's solve any problem you're facing, whether it's crushing your goals or handling that conversation with a girl.